Hey, this is Russell, and I work at the video store, the place that we can all go to every week when it's movie night. On days like today, interesting people pop in to rent something. We go through the films that they've loved across their life, and we are just here to help you figure out what you could be watching on streaming platforms and out in cinemas. All right, let's do it. Let's open up the shop.
Did you see that thing yesterday on the TV? It was ready, interesting!
Morning, guys.
Hi.
How you doing? We got Cole here today,
Yeah.
and we got Perrin.
Yo.
I'm so cool and laid back, man.
I'm a cool guy. Chill.
You are a cool guy. Welcome everyone to the video store, and thank you for wandering in. It's lovely to have you at our video store. So one thing before we get started is I want to make a little shop announcement.
Oh,
Okay,
I didn't know we could do that.
Oh, yeah, okay.
this little button here.
Oh, is that what that does?
Yeah, and
big red
then
button,
everyone in the
yeah.
shop can hear what we have to
Oh
say.
my goodness.
All right, let's do it. Attention all customers, this is just to let you know that our good friends over at Duis Wine are running a special promotion with us. If you don't know about Duis Wine, it is fantastic wine that comes in a box, hence the name, and you can go over to duis.wine, and if you put in the promo code VideoStoreDuis, all one word, you can get 15% off your order, but you have to choose to do the collection at the Bioscope. So over here at the Bioscope, we've got a place where you can come and collect your Duis wine so that you can save on shipping. All right, so that is Video Store Duis to get 15% off your order of really good wine over at duis.wine. Today on the show, we're going to have a very interesting guest pop in to rent something. We have got Zoe Ramushu, who is many things, a filmmaker, an actor, a journalist, and she is behind Real Estate Sisters, which if you have been scrolling Netflix, you have seen it in the top 3 for the last week or so, which is lovely. The film is out, so it is on Netflix, and I think it's just going to be incredible to talk to her. Someone I haven't met, which is exciting. So I think there's going to be lots to chat about. Have you guys got something to keep you busy when she pops in?
Yeah, I'll make something.
You'll make something.
Yeah.
Shoot a little movie in the back room or something.
Cole, come
Cole,
with
what are
me.
you going to do?
I'm going to go fix the aircon.
Okay.
Something's wrong.
No,
I don't know how to do that, but, I'll try. Press some buttons.
Lovely. You go do that. This is Zoe popping in to rent something. How's it?
Hi.
How are you?
I'm really good, thanks. How are you?
I'm great, man. It's nice to meet you.
Lovely to meet you too, and I'm loving the space.
This is the first time we've met.
Yeah.
Okay? But you've had some involvement with the Bioscope.
Yes, I have. I've been to the space a couple of times. I had a film screening here in 2022.
Ooh. Where was it screened?
It was screened here at the Bioscope with Ariv under their
Good old Africa Rising International Film Festival.
Exactly. Yeah.
That's usually in November.
Yeah.
Usually in late November, and I'm a big fan of Arif.
Yeah. Fantastic. Alicia. I always call them Alicia because I'm trying to say Ayanda and Felicia.
That should be their Heat magazine name.
Oh my gosh, #Alicia.
Yeah. No, they're lovely.
it.
So Ayanda's been a guest on the video store. We should actually have Felicia, his lovely wife, join. She's the muscle in the relationship.
She is.
She does the work.
She's a doer.
She's a doer. I really appreciate them. And, they're quite close to the Bioscope, literally and figuratively. They're in 44 Stanley. So we often do Saturday morning workshops, and we often do these premieres with them. And
Lovely.
They come in with their red carpets, and, they're doing something really interesting where they're effectively a casting agency.
Yeah.
That's the sort of bread and butter, but the real give back is Actor Spaces, which is their platform to help champion people in the industry.
Yeah. They're casting with us right now for our next film.
Oh, really?
Yep.
Okay.
So we were here yesterday running the casting. they cast it for the film that that's going on Netflix tomorrow.
So let's talk about it. So by the time that this episode will come out, your film would have already been out on Netflix.
Yeah.
Tell me what it is. Firstly, you're a jack of many trades, right? You produce, you write, and in this case, you've directed, hey?
Yes.
Okay, what is the film?
Oh, no, sorry, not on this project.
On this project
yes,
that we're going to talk
yes.
about, you were the producer.
Producer, writer, yeah.
Okay, lovely. Okay,
Exactly.
and what is the film?
It's called Real Estate Sisters.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what is it all about?
Real Estate Sisters is the film that you want to watch because it's wild, it's a comedy, but it's also like a murder mystery.
Lovely.
So set in Pretoria, which we were really intentional about because my business partner, Ria Moetivot, she's the writer with me. We co-wrote it, and then she's the director. She's from Pretoria.
Okay.
So we don't get to see Pretoria a lot on screen, you know?
Yes.
So the story is there's two broke sisters, you know, they're selling like back rooms and, you know, renting like shoddy apartments in Sunnyside. They're hustling, you know?
Yeah.
But the one sister's got like big dreams to be like the next Pam Golding, you know? That's her vibe. And she's always talking about deals. So she meets a guy, falls in love, you know? And all of that. And then he offers her the sale of his Waterkloof Ridge, you know, mansion.
Okay. So this is now, like a big scoop for her, yeah?
Exactly. So she ropes in her sister, you know, they start their own agency, quit their jobs.
Oh, God.
You know?
Just for this job.
Yeah, because they're going to make big bucks, you know?
Yeah.
And then next thing, they find a dead body in the house.
Oh, Lord.
So the story is just about how they keep continuously trying to sell the house and solve this mystery of the dead body without getting caught and arrested by the cops.
Okay.
So it's like a comedy.
Sounds fun.
Yeah.
Lovely, man. And you wrote it?
Yeah, myself and Ria.
Okay. And just a little bit of context, how long have you been doing this?
Filmmaking.
Yeah.
10 years.
Lovely.
It just like feels insane that's how long it's been.
You said you came from, you studied at Columbia.
Yeah, I did.
That's amazing.
Yes.
Let's talk about that. The closest I've ever got to Columbia was on one of the visits, I think I was in high school. You take this ferry around Manhattan Island, and at one point they show you there's this cliff face with the big C that's painted on the side, and there's apparently another college nearby. Is it nearby?
Barnard.
Yeah, and they go across this little ferry thing in boats and deface the thing, and then and then Columbia's got to like sort of paint it back. But I mean, Columbia, it's Ivy League. Hey?
Yeah.
Look at you. That's amazing.
Come on, Russell. Oh my gosh.
But that's amazing. Just to get that chance to be around those minds, because you know we're very quick to laugh at the Americans, and you know, and a large portion of the American population is stupid and racist. But what it's carried by is very, very, very smart, very hardworking people. That's what's made it the economy that it is. So to be around them, I think must have been a privilege, eh?
Yeah.
And a real treat.
Yeah. I mean, it was an invaluable experience for me. And I think what the most important lesson that I learned is we are those minds that need to be there, you know, because as Africans particularly, we have a very specific value and knowledge that we have to add to society.
And did you feel like that was appreciated in those classrooms?
I mean, if I'm honest, very much so, because right now in the world, like everyone's crying for diversity.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And everyone understands now that there isn't one way to do things, like especially with like innovation and disruption in so many different industries. Everybody's looking for people who think differently.
But the authenticity of that, you know?
Yeah.
I feel like, how old are you now? If you don't mind me asking.
I am giving away my age. I'm 34.
34. Okay, but you're on the young side of the 30s. I'm at the tail end of the 30s. But my film school at Wits was constantly us commenting and criticizing how the right people weren't in the right roles or the right people weren't directing. And I feel like what's really good about today is those big productions have got the right people behind them now to some large degree.
Yeah.
You know, I just think of something like Turning Red, you know, a Pixar film about Asian community. And of course there's an Asian female that is the director. You
Yeah.
can't not
Yeah.
have that.
Yeah. Yeah.
You can't get away with it. You
Exactly.
know? And it's done, and it's being done so well.
Exactly.
You know,
Yeah. Yeah.
the black directors are doing the Black Panthers, and
Exactly.
they could never have done it. They could never have not done it. Where I feel like in my sort of early formative film school era, it was a white guy.
Yeah, and from a very specific place. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? All from the exact same background, all from the exact same schools, all from, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it starts there where it's like, okay, if the Ivies are all people from the same schools, they're going to get the jobs. You know what I mean? And then they're going to make all the decisions, not just in film, across industries, you know? So having diversity at that level means that it seeps into every industry. And realistically, that's why we're getting interesting content now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
No,
Look at, Squid Games, all of that. That wouldn't
Yeah.
have happened if people weren't being given that opportunity.
Yeah.
And people are realizing that, wow, there is actually other stories that are interesting that aren't like Tom Cruise.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
No,
And no
totally.
hate to Tom Cruise. Like,
of
he's
course.
excellent at what he does, you know?
We just all
But-
have to.
But whilst we're not watching him, we'd like to be watching something else that's different, showing us a world that we didn't know about. Like, I think that's what really captivates people,
Yeah.
being taken, like that's what movies and TV is about, like escapism,
Yeah.
going into a world that you never would have imagined existed, and then experiencing the emotions with those characters, if it's done really well.
Yeah.
It's like you can identify with this character because you know them so well, but it's also just an introduction to like an incredible world,
Yeah, and what the hopes and dreams are of a real estate hustler in Pretoria, because
Yeah.
I don't know what that would be like, but
Yeah.
but then there would hopefully be some good strong human elements about wanting to survive, wanting to succeed, wanting
Exactly.
to aspiring to grow your business,
Exactly.
which we can all relate to.
Exactly.
What are some of the other stuff that you've done?
So some of the other stuff we've done, my film, It Takes a Circus, the one that's screened here at the Bioscope.
It Takes a Circus.
Yeah, so kind of based on, you see a little bit of the African vibe, It Takes a Village. So It Takes a Circus was my first directing debut, and it did really well.
Short or feature?
It was a short.
Okay. And you made that when you were in Colombia?
Yeah.
Okay.
So we shot that in New York, and it was nominated for a student Oscar.
Lovely.
Screened at
Lovely.
Dark NYC, won multiple awards across festivals, so that did really well.
It made it to nominee for
Yeah.
Student Oscar.
Yeah.
That's so good.
Yeah, I mean, we wanted to win.
No, of course. But I
but-
mean, it's just, we can all submit our film for consideration.
Yeah.
But and then what's interesting, which obviously a lot of folks don't know, is you make a short list, which is always quite exciting to know that you're in the running to be a nominee. There is that little period before.
Yeah.
And then what, of course, the public then know is who the nominees are. So it was
Yeah.
lovely that you were a nominee.
Yeah, yeah. And I just
Okay.
said to myself, if you're a nominee, if you got this close once,
Yeah.
it means
could-
we need to get back there very soon.
Oh, lovely.
Yeah.
And when was that? When,
That was 2021, I want to say. COVID has just got my
Okay.
brain all muddled.
no, me
Yeah.
too. It's a mess.
Yeah.
Okay, so that was recent.
Yeah.
Okay, and then now this is the first feature
Yeah.
since that.
Yeah, so we've, as a collective, Totem Zia, that's the name of our company, with myself and Ria Moetivold, who's my business partner.
What's the company called?
Totem Zia.
Totem Zia. Okay.
And
Where
it's
did you get that name?
So totem, very African. You know
Yeah.
what a totem is.
Sure, sure.
It's kind of like a tribe or a clan of people who are from different families but are joined by something,
Okay.
So it's a totem. And then Zia is myself and her name. So Zoe and Ria.
Okay.
Lots of people end up confusing us, and
Yeah.
like someone
There's
like
another
twice.
one. Like
Yeah.
yeah.
Like exactly like
What did we call them?
Alicia.
Alicia.
Exactly. So
Okay.
Totem Zia.
But the other years of your life before you found your passion, you were a lawyer.
Yes. So yeah.
Okay.
Studied at Wits, just up the road here.
Shout out to Wits. I was also a Witsy.
Exactly, Witsies. We got the edge.
We do. That's the slogan. Yeah.
Look at us. Yeah, so that's what I studied.
What kind of law?
So you don't really specialize in your
Okay.
undergrad. So
Okay.
it was an LLB. I did a BA law. And whilst I was studying at Wits, by my third year, I kind of knew I didn't want to practice.
Yeah.
But I wasn't yet sure what I wanted to do. And my parents kind of said, no, stick it out with law, because whatever field you go into,
You're always going to need that brain. Eh?
Exactly. Yeah. So
it's a very particular way of looking at the world.
Very. So I don't regret that at all. But already by my third year, I was kind of like exploring to figure out what I wanted to do. Did an internship at Good Morning Africa. Kind of just figuring out like, okay, there's people behind the camera, because whether like it sounds kind of like, insane, but I literally didn't know anything.
It's a big part of it. And that was also my thing at film school, was going, okay, the gold standard, or what everyone wishes to be, is the next Tarantino. We're all looking at the director seat, but there are other jobs in there, and
so many.
You can imagine my realization going, what's the point in all of us making movies if there's no place to show it?
Exactly.
So we don't have an independent cinema space in one of the biggest cities in Africa. It's not like
it's insane.
It's not like we were living in Nelspruit going like, I think we should give it a try. It was like, why is there not an indie cinema in Joburg? And we could do it if we pull this off. We could do it.
Yeah. And you've done it.
Thanks. But we were having this discussion on the video store the other day with Denham Richards, the very interesting dude, an American guy who is in Yellowstone,
Fantastic.
This huge show, but has found some roots in Southern Africa, and is spending all his time just trying to break open the industry for people to have you understand. And he raised a great point. He said, it does employ everyone. It employs lawyers.
Yeah.
The contract law is very important.
Yeah.
Making sure that actors are signed in correctly, and to have you, be a part of, you're directing and you're producing, but you've got this brain that can make sure the contracts are right.
Yeah, I mean, contracting, one thing is contracting with your crews, but also contracting is really critical when you're negotiating your deals with platforms, with the streamers, with the broadcasters and all of that, because...
And they must know you're a lawyer going into it.
Hey, listen.
or do you want to Columbo it? Do you remember there was a detective called Columbo? It was a TV show where he pretended to be a bit stupid. But he got away with, because people underestimated him.
Listen, Russell,
what do you want to do?
I don't have to pretend. Like, look at me. Like, people look and they're like, yeah, she doesn't know much. Like,
really? Do you feel underestimated?
I mean, look, it is one of these things, like, you're a young black girl and you look relatively young. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
A lot of people kind of like they don't see you coming,
Okay.
And
but listen, I think that's the secret weapon.
to be honest, I'm just like, listen, at your own peril.
Yeah.
But yeah, so between after Wits, what I did is I've co-founded a women in film organization, Swift.
We've done
a lot of work. Yeah, so that's why I'm like, I know the space very well.
Yeah. Sometimes, sorry, I don't always, can
no. Yeah,
join
different
the dots.
people from
because there were quite a few people involved in Swift.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay, what does that stand for?
Sisters Working in Film and Television.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what is that all about?
So it's basically a women in film organization. There'd been a couple in the industry over the years.
Yeah, there's also one called Girls in Film.
There's Girls in Film, exactly. And previously there'd been women's organizations that had kind of come together and then not kind of been sustained.
Yeah.
So when we co-founded it in 2016, it just came from, women needing a space to just speak, about whatever it is that are their issues, and to be able to be heard, and not kind of be talking about it in your office and people like, it's that thing again.
And how does it present itself? In sort of meetups?
So multiple meetups, and just to give context, when we were setting it up, we were thinking, let's, see what, like maybe, advocate for equal pay or something like that. But obviously the biggest thing that came out was that women in the industry just didn't feel safe, and
just
this was
as literal as that.
It was like, you're also like, what do you mean? Like, and it's like, yeah, when I go on set, I literally don't feel safe, and that's where the stories about all the sexual harassment, all the different things that happen in our industry started just pouring out. And if I'm honest, Russell, we'd never expected that.
Be honest.
Like, you know what I mean? It was one of those really unexpected things, but we had to address that issue. That was the first thing we had to address.
Amazing.
When that happened, next thing, Me Too blew up. And so that's how Swift really
You can see
just,
how that was just a pot that was bubbling.
exactly. Yeah.
And just with everyone having a voice or having voices grow, you know, through all the social media that we've had for so long, it was about time that pressure cooker just burst. Where people could feel confident enough to share.
Yeah.
But if you were starting this as early as 2016, but then you only then studied film later.
Yeah.
Okay, so you had your head in the film industry, you know, before you were studying it.
Yeah.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So were you being a lawyer at this point?
Yeah, Russell, I was like figuring it out.
But
hey?
you had your
like,
one foot in this other
was,
industry that you wanted to spend more time in.
Exactly. So I was working in the legal field, and I started up my production company. So I shot my first project. It was called My Perfect Date. It was a reality cooking show. And so that I licensed that, but I was mostly working with Swift. So I was kind of doing three things.
Okay, you were never going to be a lawyer.
Yeah, that's
that was
true.
never going to happen.
I kind of knew
your
by
heart
third
was
year.
in all this other stuff. So it's so lovely that this is what you get to do full time now, right?
Yeah, and if I'm honest, it was a money issue. I had to work in the legal field because I needed, like, people got to eat,
day-to-day,
you know?
yeah,
I was like, I'm not trying to be a starving artist. That's the not sexy part of the industry, you know?
How was Colombia possible? Did you get bursaries and stuff?
So it's an incredible story where I can just say, if I'm honest, it's the grace of God.
Yeah?
They gave me a full ride.
Yeah, good.
Which was...
good for them.
Yeah, literally.
Good for them, because that's how they get the diversity in the classes, and that's how they get the right brains sitting in the room. So, what a treat, man.
Yeah.
Because even with all the money in the world, that gets ridiculous. Eh?
Yeah, like people literally with, like, I mean, you saw the documentary about, you know, how very wealthy people in the US, in Asia, like try and bribe to get their kids into schools and pay. Pay. But like the Ivies are hardcore. Like they're very specific about who they're taking.
Oh, that's good.
So yeah, it was really a grace thing, because even when I got there, I remember walking in to the admissions office, and the guy's like typing my name, and he looks and he whistled. I can't whistle.
Yeah.
He whistles. He's like, "Full ride, girl." He's like, "We don't see any of this these days." So I was just like, I don't know, you know.
You must have made a good case. You had to do what, submission, essays, and all sorts. Hey?
Yeah, so we did it's quite a serious, and it's quite an intense submission process. So essays, and then they do like a live, which was kind of like exam vibes, and then like they're watching you on a webcam. So they ask you like immediate questions, and they like ask you to answer, and so it's kind of like a psych test.
You must have just presented yourself well.
I guess so, Russell. Yeah.
No, certainly. Where did we grow up?
In Harare, Zimbabwe.
Hey, interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what was that like? Because there was a good time in Harare.
Yeah.
Which might have been your childhood.
Yeah.
Start of Mugabe wasn't bad, right?
Very good. Very good.
Hey, he was a hero.
He really was.
And really set some good foundations.
Yeah. And
he then went a little crazy.
How
do you sort of see it? I mean, he sort of lost his mind by the end, but he was off to a great start.
Oh my goodness. I don't know if I'd say he lost his mind. I feel like it's that saying about, you know, each person has two sides to them. Like there's no one person who's continuously one thing.
Yeah, sure.
And so all of us have, like, if anyone's life is looked at, like, there's the side of you that is the hero, and there's the side of you that's the villain.
Yeah.
There's no one perfect.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Sure.
And so I feel that, you know, for me, what we're talking about, my ability, like you're saying, to present well and get into an Ivy League school comes from the basis of the fact that I had an incredible education.
Yeah. The education system in Zim was really good.
Yeah. And so there's obviously the good and the bad. I mean, in South Africa, we've got the good and the bad.
Of course.
In the US, we've got the good and the very bad.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
sure.
So every country has like...
But growing up, was there any kind of film memories, or what is a film that comes to you quite early on?
I mean, The Lion King, obviously.
Okay. It's such a common denominator on this show. It's lovely.
I like literally know all the words. It's very, very problematic.
It's magical.
But
So
like,
did that plant any kind of seeds in you when you were a little kid? Did you start thinking about cinema really young?
If I'm honest, Russell, I didn't.
You just loved it.
I loved
it was
watching.
Just a great movie.
Yeah, I used to love watching The Lion, everything Disney, to be honest, but
Sure.
The Lion King, Aladdin was a little bit scary to me.
Yeah,
You
it
know,
was a
like when
bit,
the
yeah.
genie would come out, like, I'm the greatest genie in the world. Like, you know what I
Yeah,
mean?
yeah.
But I loved Sinbad. You know, we used to watch Sinbad, you know, the Tales, like the TV show.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
I mean, I never, like I said, I literally realized when I did that internship, like that this is a career.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like
Okay.
I didn't have that exposure, let's
Yeah.
call it that, to
What-
say
what
you
was-
could actually work in this.
Did you go
field.
into cinemas
Um,
in Harare? Were
yes,
there any
we
decent
went.
cinemas?
Yeah. There's definitely good cinemas. I remember my first experience was Finding Nemo, I think.
Okay.
Like, so it was
Yeah.
someone's birthday. We all went to the cinema. Or was it Ants? No, Finding Nemo was like, it was like Ants. What was the one around like early days?
Well, there was Ants and Bug Life, and A Bug's
Yes,
Life
A
came out
Bug's
at the
Life.
same time. Ants was the slightly more adulty one. It was
Okay,
a
so
Woody
A-
Allen film, where Bug's Life was the
That's
Pixar
the one.
one.
That's
Yeah.
the one. A Bug's Life. I remember
Oh,
that one and
lovely.
being like, oh my gosh. Like walking out of the cinema with this like fuzzy feeling
Yeah.
that, you know, you're like, hey, what is this feeling? You know what I
Yeah.
mean? It's
Yeah.
like, I feel so good. Like I want to do that again. Yeah.
Okay. High school, also in Zim?
Yeah. So I went to a school called Chisapiti, then St. John's College, which is the brother school to the St. John's College here.
Okay. So I know there's a St. John's. It's a
yeah.
girls' school, hey?
It's a boys' school. And
But
like,
there's a St. John's that's a boys' school
Yeah.
in Joburg.
yes. And that's
Then
the
there's-
brother school. They just took 10 girls every year for a special program called the IB program.
Oh, look at you.
So I usually say to people like, oh, I went to St. John's. And then people look at me like,
What?
like, and I'm like, yeah, it's an all boys school. And they're like, and I let them wait. Like,
Yeah.
And then I'm like, no, it's just jokes. They took 10 girls every year.
But where were you? In Zim?
Yeah.
Okay, so they had a because there is a St. John's that's a girls' school in Durban, I think.
Okay.
I forget. John's involved.
Okay.
Okay, and then over in high school, so this is an all-girls school, but just 10 of you.
all boys school, but just 10 girls.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's what I mean. Sorry.
Yes. No. Yeah.
Okay, that's interesting.
I know.
So were you taught with other boys in the class?
Yeah.
Okay, so it actually became this nice co-ed.
Yeah. So, but we were treated like absolute, like, you know, when you'd walk on the corridor, you know, like boys' school have all this etiquette and all of that. So literally, if there's only 10 of us, right? So if I was walking along the corridor, all the boys had to like step off and but like drop their hats and morning ma'am, morning ma'am, morning ma'am. So literally like,
Wow.
it was like an insane experience, like, but it made sense because there was only 10 of us. So, but they'd all have to like stand still until you've walked past and morning ma'am, morning ma'am, morning ma'am. So yeah, it's a pretty cool experience.
Jeez. What films came to you around high school?
High school.
Because the high school crush film, because we've got the 4 great loves at the video store, which is your puppy love,
Okay.
which we're going to probably put to A Bug's Life.
Okay. Yeah.
Then your high school crush is perhaps sometimes a little more diverse, a little more interesting. Perhaps you're exploring a bit, because that's what happens in high school. You figure some things out. Anything?
I'm trying to think of what age it was that I started to love The Count of Monte Cristo.
Okay.
Have you watched that one?
No, I
Oh
know
my
the
gosh.
story.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's just basically about a guy who gets punked out by his friend. Like, he's a really nice guy, gets punked out by his friend.
What do you mean by punked out?
His friend is wealthier than him and
Okay.
is jealous that he kind of is getting everything, the girl, he's getting a promotion and all
Yeah.
of that stuff. And then, yeah, he sells him out and he gets put in jail. And this friend of his basically then gets to take his wife and live this life that he should have.
It's like it's a period film.
It's a period film. It's set around like Napoleon's time. So it's got a little bit of history. I'm a history buff, like obsessed with history. Like, so it's
Okay.
got that like seated in that revolution, the French Revolution.
Okay.
But basically when he comes back, like he managed to train and all of that stuff whilst he's in prison. And when he gets out, like one of the other prisoners tells him where there's like a trove of treasure.
Okay.
And so obviously he comes back mad rich, fam.
Okay.
Mad rich. And like then takes revenge on all his enemies.
Lovely. A good revenge film. It's one of the more underrated.
I literally
You know,
always think that everyone's watched it because
feelings.
I've watched it like 1,000 times.
Who's in it?
Oh my gosh.
I feel like some hunky men are in it.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. I'm blanking. Guys.
No.
I'm so
Okay,
sorry.
I'll
Yeah.
look it up in the meantime. Okay. And then after high school,
Gladiator.
Gladiator. Okay, this is our it's getting serious film, which is when life gets a bit more serious. So at this point, we're now at Wits, hey? So you make the move.
Yeah. I would say
Do you
that
come on
was-
your own? Is family still in Zim?
So most of my family's, half of my family's in Zim. The other half is here in South Africa. Then the rest are scattered across the globe, like in the US, the UK, Canada, Cyprus, Dubai. Like, yeah. So everyone's kind of in different places.
Where, is mom and dad still around?
My mom's actually here. She's just up the road.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, now I see Jim Caviezel,
Yes.
the guy who played Jesus.
Yeah.
We
yeah.
all know him as Jesus. And Guy Pearce, who's the Australian actor. Those are the standout people who were in The Count of Monte Cristo. 2002. I'm trying to think, what was 2002? Where were you for the millennium in your life?
I was
You were probably
like 10.
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. No, so then this is kind of high school. 'Cause
Yeah.
it's just after.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
probably
12,
watched
13,
it. You know,
you probably-
video store vibes.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, no, so then this came in high school. So it's your high school crush. It looks like there's a little bit of love affair in it. There's some.
I think it spoke to the you know how you're always taught to be like this gracious person and
Yeah.
turn the other cheek, because I'm a Christian, right? So
Yeah.
turn the other cheek. So I kind of liked that this guy was like, nah, fam, I'm not turning the other cheek.
Just a
I'm-
good old revenge.
Yeah, he was like, I'm coming for you.
There's been a lot of revenge movies this year, funny enough. Monkey Man
Yes,
was
I
a
just
very
watched
strong,
it.
powerful one.
Yeah.
Obviously set in India.
Yeah.
With the caste system, and there's one man that just wants to topple it all. The Beekeeper was a big
I
one
watched
this
that.
year with
Yeah.
Jason Statham just
Listen,
fucking
he just
his way up to the top.
He just does what he does, right?
Yeah.
Like, and you don't expect anything else from him.
Yeah.
You go you sit in that chair in the cinema, and you're like, you do your thing.
Yeah, and you take great joy in
Yeah.
watching him beat everybody up.
Yeah.
Okay, so Wits, you came here. Were you on your own? Did you come to Joburg on your own?
Yeah, pretty much. I came on my own, but
Okay.
I've got family here, so.
Okay, did
yeah.
you stay with them or?
I stayed on my own. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
How was Joburg for you?
Joburg was exciting. It's
Okay.
it's a city that, like, I've loved, and because obviously would come up and down all throughout, like from growing up and all of that, and yeah, I think it gave me exactly what I needed. It had the lights,
Yeah.
party lights,
Yeah.
excitement, bigger city. You know what I mean?
It opened up, all parts of the city to me, like being at Wits, having my own car, being
Yes,
able to travel
exactly.
around, and
Yeah,
finding my tribe. I grew up in the northern suburbs, which is quite like
yes.
butty jock vibe, but
yeah.
it's certainly not the cultural center of Joburg. Four
Yeah.
ways.
Exactly.
It's all very, very new and rather duff. So for me, like to come to Varsity and then discover like that there's nightclubs that play rock music
Yeah.
was like a whole thing for me.
Yeah,
Or
yeah.
or discovering Melville.
Exactly.
Where,
Melville.
where was your place?
I
that
stayed
you-
literally right opposite on Juta Street, so right opposite Wits.
Cool.
Like, so I could walk out of those. I forget what the doors are called, but
Yeah.
like it was 2 streets down. But like when my dad would visit, he would be so paranoid. Like
Yeah.
he'd be like, "So you like just live here?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I've been living here," because he like visited like after 6 months, and
Yeah.
he was after I walked him out. Like he kept saying, "Oh, like." Let me just walk you back to your. I'm like, listen, I live here. Like, no one's
I'm
like,
okay with it,
yeah,
yeah.
like, because it does have that like roughish edge, but it's like you kind of have to know the spots. Like, don't walk down the street because that's
it's
where it's
all
a little
about-
bit rough.
It's all
And
about
then-
knowing, because if
Yeah.
you don't know and if you sort of act like you don't belong, you could be targeted.
Yeah, yeah.
Did Zim feel safe for you as a
Yeah.
kid growing up?
Yeah.
Was it a safe space?
Very, like, you could, like, the first time I understood what it felt like to constantly be in danger is being in Joburg, if I'm
Yeah.
honest. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
sure.
Because and I still, like, when people say it to me, like, Joburg is dangerous, when I lived here, I didn't feel it. But
Yeah.
now, like, when you look back, there is stories
Yeah.
of
No,
so many
sure.
very violent things that happen, you
Yeah.
know? And it's just kind of like, it's grace or whatever it is that it doesn't happen to you, but you know people that it's happened to, and it's not like a person.
No,
you know,
no, totally. Where's home now?
Cape Town.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So what's brought you up here now?
We our
To
launch,
do the launch.
The
Okay,
launch,
so
and
last
then
night
we're
we had
shooting.
we had the screening for the Real Estate Sisters.
Yes, exactly.
Okay, and how did it go last night?
Oh, it was fantastic. It was
Okay.
fantastic. Like, so this was, we've been really privileged to be able to take the film, you know, quite on a long journey. So we screened at a number of festivals in LA, in Toronto, in Denton, in the US, and then basically we had our first like African launch at the Joburg Film Festival.
Okay.
And so that was where it was like we saw it with an audience, with a local audience.
That was now at the start of this year. Yeah,
Exactly.
yeah.
It was fantastic. Like, because it's a comedy.
Yeah.
You know, you always wonder, like, are people going to get it? You know, like,
Yeah,
and
sure.
then, like, but it was like raucous. Like, people were unruly, hey? You know?
That's good,
And
man.
it's like funny, but it's like people were laughing at places that weren't even, like, we're like, oh, that wasn't even,
Interesting.
yeah, but it's like the people receive it the way they receive
comedy
it.
is very hard to get on film because, especially you as the director or the editor or the person who wrote it, like, you know, you've stopped finding that joke funny a very long time ago. People forget this.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, so it's quite hard for you to be objective in these moments, to edit it in the best way or to
Yeah.
find it as funny because you know the punchline's coming.
Yeah.
You really, like stand-up comedy, you need to do it in front of people.
Yeah.
And perhaps some of those test screenings could even result in some changes for films because you know
what lands.
you actually didn't get that joke.
Yeah,
Jesus, why didn't
yeah.
that joke land? It
Yeah.
should have.
Yeah.
Maybe there's an edit to it.
Yeah.
How was the humor in the film received overseas?
So
Were you able to get to some of those screenings?
Yeah, so the
Okay.
last one that we did was in New York, which was fantastic, with the support of the South African Consulate General. The Empire State Building did an incredible shoot for us, like to announce coming to Netflix. Like it was...
What?
I know.
Sorry, explain that.
I know. We were
The
also
Empire
like...
State Building did what?
They supported us, they sponsored us to do a huge photo shoot on the top of the building to
Yeah.
announce that our film was coming to Netflix. Yeah.
They allowed you to be up there to take photos.
Yeah, so they
Okay.
they have a whole experience that they curate. So I think if you see on their page, like Taylor Swift was like the last person who did that experience. So
Okay.
they have
What
like
is
a
that
little
experience? Well, I've been up the Empire State a few times.
Yeah. So basically what they do is it's like I don't know what they call it, but they select people who
Deserving to sort of have the space.
So they take you through, they've got like a very nice back room where you get dressed. So we had like a designer dress us and all of that.
Oh, special.
And then they walk you through this, like they give you a private tour, like and then you see all the images of the other people who've done this tour. And then they take you, like it's really like...
And then obviously the whole, the thing is that they then have given you the space to take a photo, to take a very particular kind of photo.
Exactly.
Shoot a kind of thing, which is then up to you, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Then it's up to you as to how much you capitalize on this moment. But
Definitely.
they offer the space.
Exactly.
And they obviously don't offer it to everyone.
Yeah. So it was very beautiful. Then the New York Film Academy also came on board as a great partner. So that's where we did the screening. And yeah, like you're saying, the audience, that one I was a little bit...
girl, well, I mean, how do I put this? Sorry. I'm trying to say like two real estate characters from Pretoria are sort of getting this Empire State treatment.
Yeah, it was absolutely insane. Like, and the one thing
it's one thing if you'd made like the Woman King.
you know what I mean?
You know, this like epic thing.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
I'm saying this in such a good way. Like, it's just such a treat that you got given this platform.
It was a lot of hard work, if I'm honest, because none of these things were handed to us,
Yeah.
And as a producer, it's one of those things where you can have a film and be like, I'm done, like, oh, I've created the film and put it on the platform.
I think you, having spent that time in Colombia, having been in those rooms, you were aware that those rooms exist. It's like the greatest treat you can ever give anyone, especially someone in a slightly more isolated country like South Africa. Only when you travel do you realize how much we are at the tip of this continent that's far away from epicenters like Europe and the States. That just giving someone the opportunity to crack open their sort of shell, shatter the glass ceilings,
Yeah.
figuratively speaking,
Yeah.
and being able to see those other rooms, those other places, those other cities where
Yeah.
you get to walk the streets of New York. How long was the degree or the?
Oh yeah, I was there 18 months. The degree was
that's
much
such
shorter.
A treat. But the fact that you get to just walk those streets of New York, 'cause
Yeah.
they're inspiring streets. Eh?
Listen, like when Jay-Z sings that song with Alicia Keys, it's true.
I've been lucky enough to go to New York probably sort of 6 or 7 times, and it's like every time I'm there, you just feel it. Eh? It feels like I just step into a frequency.
That's exactly it.
That I just love. I'm like, it's a pace I love. It's a vibe I love.
You want to be your best self there, right? It's like when you're there, you all of a sudden, like you said, a frequency where you're like, I'm operating at this level, but I can be operating at such a high level. And you can, it's like you all of a sudden see all the things that you can possibly do.
And that economy, it's the economy of scale.
Yeah.
Where, so like as a small business, for example, the Bioscope, I remember looking at something as silly as Dwayne Reed,
Yes.
okay, which is their pharmacy.
Clicks.
It's their version of Clicks or
Clicks
Discount.
Discount.
And it's on every street corner. And I remember thinking, whoever owns Discount in South Africa or Clicks has probably got a nice house at the coast, does very well for himself. Whoever owns Dwayne Reed
Is eating up
it's
the
like,
world.
That's like silly money,
Yeah.
right? That's
yeah.
like
Yeah.
that's like that's like private helicopter money.
Yeah. And
you only see that when you're in a place like New York.
and you
where
only
like
understand
the
it
possibilities
exactly
are
when it's
huge.
like we've got like 4 or 5 major banks, right? And we all know them.
Yeah.
They're like, what
There's
do you
4
mean?
or 5 major banks in New York alone.
Exactly.
Yeah, yeah.
And like globally, they're like, not globally, sorry, across the country, they've got like 20 banks that have like thriving customer bases. Like the choices are like endless, you know what I mean? And the possibilities are endless.
So that's
But
so
yeah.
lovely that you were able to realize these things for your film. I think that's so special.
Yeah. If I'm honest, one of the other things was like when I was leaving, a lot of people were obviously like, oh, you're riding off of the high of the student Oscar nomination, you should stay, you know?
Yeah.
If you go back home, things aren't like, you know what I mean? Like, what's going to happen in Africa? Africa, that's what it's called, right? In Africa. So it's like, I was like, no, but I'm from here, and if we can't make it from where we're from, telling our stories, then it's like, it's kind of pointless. Like, why are we in this industry if you're going to go and tell other people's stories, you know?
You want to take that experience and come back.
Exactly.
My fiance did her MBA in New York.
Oh, nice.
And also had some things lined up and chose to come back.
Yeah. Yeah.
And wanted to be with family, wanted to be in South Africa, wanted to make a difference here. I very much get that.
Yeah. And these days we're living in a global community. So just, coming back here, we got me and my business partner got a Netflix film. And it's screening in New York. Like, so it's like,
so I'm going to come back.
Yeah, it's like you don't have to be physically elsewhere and to look down on where you're from in order to, you know what I mean, achieve the success and the height of success that you want,
What was a film that came to you in your varsity? Because you were obviously doing a film degree or a film course.
Okay.
Was there anything that blew your mind?
So that would be like very recently.
Sure.
I'm thinking.
But I just, that's a space where you were, I would imagine, shown films. And you watched a lot.
I mean, I loved, I'm forgetting the title of the film.
Okay. Yeah.
It's on AOC, the candidate that, like how, what's her name?
Cortez, yeah.
Cortez, yeah. I think it's called Runs the House.
Okay. A documentary.
It's a documentary and it's just about her journey, like from, being a regular, like she worked in a store.
She's
like
a real New Yorker.
Yeah, and like literally like just she could be anyone.
And she's capitalized on that in a good way. She's like, I was the waitress or the
exactly.
manager,
I am you.
I'm you. Yeah.
So that film
Runs
really,
the House.
I think it's called Runs the House.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, and so that film really inspired me, especially because I think it broke numbers at the box office. I can't remember. They got an insane Netflix deal, and for me, that's where I was like, if you create value, it doesn't matter what genre, what format you're working in. Like people will recognize that and pay you for it. Because everyone was talking about the number. The number that they were offered for this documentary. And they had a Q&A and everything, and you can see it's just about like self-belief and creating good value in whatever story that you're telling, and then the market will respond. So
it's called Knock Down the House.
That's the one. Knock Down the House. Yeah.
Okay, lovely.
So it was really
It's on Netflix.
Yeah. So they got an insane deal with Netflix. The numbers were insane. And, as a producer, as someone who is not trying to be a broke, starving artist, I was like...
That's inspiring.
Yeah, to be able to see like quality. Because, documentary is always kind of, the stepchild of film. You know what I mean?
I know what you mean. Yeah.
So that was really, really great. Another film that wasn't whilst I was in film school, which literally just did things, was A Promising Young Woman.
Okay.
Have you watched it?
I know of it.
Oh, my goodness.
Okay. Why was that important to you?
It was, so Margot Robbie has this production company, and like, firstly, I'm really inspired by, what the kind of films that they make, so they did Barbie.
Yeah.
But like A Promising Young Woman was, I think, their debut feature. Just the kind of films that those guys are making, I think their company is called Lucky Chap, are fantastic. So A Promising Young Woman is very much, it's like a story,
2020.
Yes, I think I was still in college.
Carey Mulligan.
Yeah.
I know of it, yeah. Alison Brie.
I watched it, and it was COVID times when, the cinemas had just kind of opened up.
Oh, Emerald.
So we were like empty. Yeah.
The director, is a woman called Emerald. Emerald Fennell. Fennell. She made Saltburn.
Yeah. So these guys find incredible female directors.
Yeah.
They're putting girls
She's
on.
interesting. Emerald is interesting. Because Saltburn took everyone by surprise.
I haven't watched
this year.
Saltburn, so don't ruin it for me
No,
yet.
no, I won't. It's arty and weird. It's lovely. Very, very beautiful. Very nice twists and turns. But it was very much an art house film in the fact that it's quite boundary pushing. It's got these kind of crazy moments that once you've seen it, you can't forget that got put on film. But it was on a major platform. So it was on Amazon. And so it took a lot of people by surprise. So it caught people that wouldn't have normally watched it if it was in Sundance and if it was in Criterion Collection. All the film snobs would have watched it.
Yeah.
But here we had everyday people going, "Oh my God, have you seen Saltburn?" Because once you see it, you go, "Sure, it's weird, but I can't forget it."
Yeah.
So that's the film you're going to rent today.
Okay.
You're going to rent Saltburn.
All right.
Because it's on Amazon Prime.
Okay.
It's like a weird.
Yeah.
Like a weird. But you'd appreciate it.
Okay.
Because it's made by a filmmaker that you admire.
Yeah.
So what was Promising Young Woman about?
I don't want to explain it because then it just diminishes it. It's just so good.
Okay. But what did you love about it?
Just pushing boundaries. So similar to what you were saying about, and just unexpected.
Okay.
When you're like, okay, I'm watching this, and you're like, okay, I think I know. Sometimes as a filmmaker, you're looking at the bones of the thing. Okay, this is this is act
how was
one.
it put together?
Yeah, this is act one. Oh, okay, this is her. You're doing some exposition here.
Yeah.
I was completely. I couldn't figure out what was good, and then my brain just switched off, and I was watching.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Lovely.
And films that do that, and then I was shocked each time.
Yeah.
Because sometimes now with the proliferation of like content, you kind of there's a rhythm. Okay, this is gonna happen, and then that's gonna happen.
Sometimes that's a good thing because then there's a confidence in that you're holding my hand, and I feel safe to go with you in this journey, or I'm familiar with this journey, so I'm happy.
Yeah.
But it's all about the confidence, so that if you are going to change it up, and if you are going to do something interesting, and you are going to throw the rug out, you're holding my hand. So it's a thrill ride that I'm happy to be on.
Yeah, yeah.
And you got to know who's who, why they're doing it. There's just confidence as a filmmaker to hold your hand. I always think of a movie,
holding your hand.
Is it holding my hand? And it can be wild. Hey? It can be crazy violent, or it can be complete twists and turns, or it could be completely fantastical. But am I comfortable here? Or
do you know what's going on?
Yeah, or am I going like, why are we doing this? This is going on for too long. Who's that guy now?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
Why would anyone do that?
Yeah.
That's stupid.
Yeah.
So it's like...
So it's good, unexpected in a very good way.
Okay. Our last film, which just helps sort of guide sort of close out our chat, is a film that you could settle down with. a film that's kind of always been there for you. Your relationship to it is it's as if it's something you could have married. You could marry. Are you currently married?
Yes.
Lovely.
I've been married for 9 years now.
It's a film that's kind of always been. It could be The Lion King. Do you know what I mean? I was gonna say, okay, I don't know where this goes in the thing, but I was gonna say, I think my settled down film, if I'm honest, it's actually really sad. Like in uni, like I would watch, like every other night, I would watch Gladiator. Which means No, let it be Gladiator.
But I want to just put another one then.
Okay.
Like the Lord of the Rings, the entire
all three.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's up there.
Okay. Little geeky.
Listen, I read The Hobbit when
Okay.
I was I think I was 11, because my brother is like 6 years older than me, so he was reading it for school, like for high school, and I stole his book. You know, when you're a kid, like your brother's like, "Don't touch my stuff," you know. So you're like, "I want to touch his stuff."
I want to touch that. Yeah.
So
The Hobbit.
fell in love with that, and so when the movies came out, of course, I was obsessed. You know.
Okay. Interesting.
Yeah. So I don't know where that fits in.
No, totally. No, that's the
yeah.
one that can kind of always be there for you. Gladiator's interesting. I remember Gladiator was a very visceral hatred for Joaquin Phoenix's character. You really wanted to just jump in there and fucking put a sword through his heart. Have you been to Rome?
I haven't. I actually haven't. Yeah.
I'm about to go back with my family. I went when I was a kid.
Oh, nice.
And we're going to go back to take my niece and nephew
to see the Colosseum and everything.
So you got to see the Colosseum, you got to see the Roman Forum, and we're about to go on holiday now as a family. And I am going to force them, and I think they'll enjoy it if they haven't seen it. I don't think they have, but I'm going to force them to watch Gladiator. Because I want them to see that Colosseum.
Yes,
I want them to,
and
like,
to feel it.
Feel Rome.
Yeah.
So that when they go there in what'll then be August, you can get a sense of it. And Gladiator really did that. You know that they're making a sequel?
I heard.
Gladiator 2 is in the works.
I
How
heard,
weird.
and I just don't know.
Russell Crowe's not the
he said
the
there,
valiant
I'm not
soldier.
there. Yeah, he's not involved. I'm anxious.
It's a weird one.
I'm anxious.
But never have we wanted vengeance more. Speak of the vengeance film, then
it's coming out. I think I
him.
have a problem.
Lovely. No, but it's a great film, and of course, Lord of the Rings is always there. There's going to be another Lord of the Rings film at the end of this year.
Fantastic.
They're not talking too much about it just yet, but it'll start bubbling up soon. I think it's in the world of Lord of the Rings.
Yes.
I'm not sure where or how they're doing
There's so much.
But it's an official film. That's going to be a film. It's the Battle of something or the Army of something.
Listen, like I've read, I won't say all of Tolkien's books, but I've read most of them. Have you made your way
through the Silmarillion?
Like most of them, all the different. There's so many spin-offs, and I think that's what I love particularly about. Like I love.
Did you do Rings of Power, the Amazon show?
Yes, I did watch it.
Okay, did you like it?
I mean, I was watching House of Dragons around the same time, so unfortunately, I couldn't help comparing.
The two got a bit compared,
yeah. And so, because of my innate love for Lord of the Rings, Rings of Power, and that whole world, I think it was absolutely. It wasn't. Look, the book is never. I mean, the series is and the thing is never as good as the book.
Yeah.
Look, I'm anxious as if I'm speaking about someone I love.
That's lovely. So, no, that's the point, though.
I'm like, so yes, I would give it, I would say I was satisfied.
Okay.
Yes.
That's a good way to put it.
Yes.
Lovely, man. But I'm excited for this film. Obviously, we're chatting on the cusp of it being released. But I'm sure that by the time this episode comes out, it'll be all over everyone's Netflixes.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm sure it's going to be lovely. So I appreciate you making the time now.
No.
I'm so happy that you found your passion.
Yes.
And that you're not stuck behind a mountain of court docs.
Listen, that easily could have been me, hey, and I would have been a very unhappy human being.
You clearly, were destined for this, and it sounds like you really have this incredible knowledge and brain that can just add so much value to
thank
what
you.
we do here. So it's
And-
lovely to have you in the world,
Thank you.
in our cinema world.
I was going to say, and it's lovely to have spaces like the Biscope. I was just saying outside that, especially now with all this news of 9 cinemas closing down and all of that, spaces like this are like super sacred where filmmakers
Sure.
can know
Yeah.
that there's consistently going to be a place that is riding for them.
Yeah, unfortunately, when that news came out, to the person who's not quite concentrating or reading the full article, people could think cinema's dead, but it's certainly not. I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah.
that kind of cinema, the shopping mall cinema, needed to be downsized. Unfortunately, I wish it didn't, but it did. The 2 Gauteng sites that were part of those 9 that are being closed. I mean, the one of them was Cedar Square, which is in the middle of Fourways, where they've got Fourways Mall literally down the road, Monte Casino literally down the road. It made sense. There was too much.
Yeah. Fourways doesn't make a lot of sense in general.
Jesus, it's such a shit place.
I'm coming for you.
Yeah.
North Boy.
Buddies of mine made a game company called Cala Fourways, and they
Oh my God.
and their slogan was 4 ways in, no ways out.
Oh my.
I remember as a
That
little
is
kid
so right.
when the 4 ways was a tiny little
Crossing.
stop street. It
Oh,
was a 4-way stop
man.
when I was a little kid. Monte Casino was a field of cows when I was a little kid.
Oh my
Really,
gosh.
there were cows
Oh,
grazing in a
geez.
field that is now
Jeez.
Monte Casino.
That's insane.
It's it shouldn't be there. The whole of Joburg kind of shouldn't be here. We're just
Listen.
here because of the gold.
Right?
But listen, I appreciate your time. Thank you for making the time to chat. And best of luck with the film and on to the next one. Hey, you busy casting?
Yeah, we in the
So,
middle of pre-production.
Can you
so
speak
yeah.
about the next one quick?
It's an incredible film written by Ria Moeti Vogt, my business partner.
Yeah.
She'll be directing it. I'm producing. It's called Divorced at 50. It's very interesting. So it's about a woman who.
You're going to find a lot of people that could relate with that.
Listen, on her 50th birthday, finds out that her husband is divorcing her at her birthday party and leaving her for the neighbor. So it's like Eat, Pray, Love.
I'm sold.
Yeah, Eat, Pray, Love of her going to find herself. She thinks she's trying to find a potion, first a potion, a pasta, different things to get her husband back. But on this journey, she realizes that
She doesn't
actually...
need a husband. It's all about her.
Actually about living because she hadn't been living, So we're very excited.
Oh, that's a lovely premise. You got me. You
yeah,
sold me.
Yeah, it's a beautiful film.
Oh, best of luck.
Thank
All right.
you.
And yeah, we'll see you down the line, man. All right.
Thank you so much. And yeah, it's been an incredible experience. And I know we're going to keep collaborating with the Biscope.
No, this is the start of lots.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Cheers.
Cheers.
All right. What a lovely chat. And thanks everyone for listening. Our home base is thevideostore.co.za, and you can see links to all our previous guest chats. We are trying our best to divide them up into all the different fields that they're in. And so there's lots more to discover. There are lots of other filmmakers, people similar to Zoe actually, that were part of the same development program. Just about 2 weeks ago, we had Brad Katzen, whose film Soweto Blaze was also a part of this kind of NFVF indigenous thing with Netflix. So not only is it great, it's worth mentioning at this point, not only is it great that these films are getting made and put out on Netflix, but so many of them are making top 5,
Amazing.
right?
That's fucking fantastic.
That they're not just getting lost in amongst the algorithms.
Yeah.
There's some proof that this is what people want to watch.
right.
Yeah.
They're making top 3,
Yeah.
which is incredible.
That is incredible, dude.
So yeah,
Thank you, South Africa.
yeah. No, it warms my heart.
Yes.
Yeah, for sure.
So lovely.
Just
Thanks.
tell them to go watch more 824 movies because that discussion bummed me out.
What?
What?
The discussion we had with the distributor at 824,
About?
not 824 at Empire, talking about the Beekeepers, like their best film of the year. Like it's the worst fucking action movie ever.
Was
but
that
they
their
can't
best?
they can't bring down certain A24 movies because they won't make money.
Because, oh my God.
Yeah.
No, but
They should
that's-
bring neon films here as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They are. Those come through every now and again.
Yeah, but not as frequently as A24.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but you have to consider main market. You have to consider the economy.
They are.
You have to
yeah,
consider
it's
what
a
people
struggle
want.
right now. Yeah.
And we'll never forget watching Beekeeper, and all of us were like, this is such a shit movie. And the one person in the group was like, it's going to make so much money.
Oh, well, yeah, people love to see Jason Statham playing Jason Statham, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyways. But
I love Graham. Why is he a beekeeper?
Why did he have to actually be a beekeeper?
Why was he keeping bees? What's the point?
It was a plot device. It's what gave him something
Depth.
unique. Lovely. Thanks, guys. Thanks for the day.
Yeah.
And thanks for listening. And we'll see you again next week.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll
Bye,
see you
guys.
then, eh?
Bye.
Bye.